Okay, and we're live. So we have Lewis from Apidaze here. He presented on a very important topic. The challenge we face is not competition, rather education. I think there was very broad agreement there. So what I'm going to do is just get straight into the questions. So Lewis, first question. Why did you create Hotspot, and what are the use cases for Hotspot?
Okay, so hello everyone. So yeah, we created Hotspot initially because we were like a lot of companies using Slack since 2014, and yeah, I wrote an article on that. So we didn't have any. We sublease our offices, and we don't have control on the phone system, and for a long time, it's always been like a pain to set up like a proper business phone system. So we had the API, we had Slack, so we thought, well, could we do something nice and a little bit crazy where we would get like phone call notifications into Slack, and that's how, as a, let's say, something that Philip was working on like very part-time. So we hacked a little bit into our API and into the Slack API, and we started doing something. Yeah. And then we had this over the summer. We were accepted for the WebSummit, and we thought, and again, it joins your question about education. Talking about APIs is something abstract, so we said, okay, maybe we could like put some quick design around the hack and show it at the WebSummit. So we took like 1 month in October, like to build a website, like a usual hack, and put some design and user interface. Very simple user interface. We just copied the the Slack, settings and whatever, and all the buttons. So it was not very creative, and that's the way we launched Hotspot. And in fact, it had like it was on the opposite of APIs. It's very easy. It's like, okay, do you have Slack? Do you have a phone number, or do you have like do you need a business phone number? If you answer no, I don't have a business phone number and I have no system, but I use Slack, then it's very straightforward. You can start using it in 30 seconds.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So do you see, I mean, because this is a classic example where you had a pain point and you hack together technology to solve the pain that you were suffering, given your situation. So you see that as being the dominant use case for businesses that are, small, medium businesses that don't have control of their phone, or do you see other use cases for Hotspot?
I think there are two things. I mean, there are a lot of solutions for businesses to handle their phone calls, especially in the US, where you have like a very broad offer for the small, medium business with things as simple as toll-free numbers with Grasshopper, which was acquired by Citrix, or RingCentral, or whatever, or Skype. Skype is like the most usual use case, or Google Voice just for call forwarding. But no, the major thing was where we saw a shift, because we integrate a lot of like Trello or any other tools, or Google Drive or whatever inside Slack. So the question was to say, okay, usually integrations into Slack are made with simple notifications, which is like the first level of integration. And we thought it would be nice to then, after the WebSummit, because it was interesting, to say, okay, maybe we could put like some more time and money in this project, and yeah, do a deeper integration where you would have like everything inside Slack. But the use case is I mean, it's still too early, because I think Slack is a new way of consuming software in a totally different way. And the use case right now are really like basic. It's okay. Yeah, I put a phone number like on my website, because I don't have any, because I don't have a lot of like traffic. But we put also SMS We put also conferencing, although Slack introduced like team conferencing, and you have already like a peer or Skype or Hangouts. But the use cases are more like, okay, it's not that critical for us, but we've been adding features like, for instance, you can manage it like regular business phone calls, but we introduced some call center features like as queue management, like they get, okay, the guy is calling, we can manage queues. If the guy has only is one person, like, or two people working in support, they can get multiple calls, and they will the callers will get in a queue, and with some music they can go to voicemail. The voicemails can get transcribed. I mean, some nice use cases, a little bit more let's say sophisticated than just putting a phone number and making and receiving calls or making like conference calls.
Yeah, no, that's very good. That's again, it's just that incremental growth of features.
Yeah.
So what's the business model behind Hotspot?
Okay, so the business model for the moment is no business model, but no, because it's real, like, you know, it's when we came out of WebSummit, there was like a lot of traction, and there still has been. There are approximately like 5,000 beta users on Hotspot. So you don't get users as fast as you can develop. So it's time. So we were not anticipating like to monetize or as quickly as that. It started as like not a side project inside Apidaze, but the business model will be a SaaS model. But I think that it will be a SaaS model, but we don't have like still decided on how and why. The question is that we think people work as teams, and the specificity of Hotspot is that you get a team number, but you can be in New Jersey, I can be in Paris, and so on. But you can create teams either for the company, but you can also just create a team for I don't know, technical support, for sales support, for HR, for no billing or whatever, and you can create as many numbers. But it's still as a team. So I would rather say that the business model will be based on size of teams and not like per user, like in regular SaaS. Like I take like one license per user, but it's more a team approach, because we feel that, like, yeah, in small medium businesses, especially in small, people are not like doing only one thing, like answering the phone or whatever. They're doing multiple things, and yeah, we want to give the whole team the possibility of handling calls or communications, because you can also communicate by SMS, of handling communications as a team and not as individuals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the interesting, but I want to say also the interesting feature for Slack is that Slack is really a collaborative tool. So meaning that we don't want like to Hotspot is not supposed to be like a Ring Central or whatever. It's really like a tool for managing everything inside Slack. So it's very funny. Even like 1 month ago, we started with like using like slash commands. It's strange to launch calls with slash commands, but once you get used, it's very nice. And we're doing like putting some automation in that. We are botifying also the Hotspot, meaning that, you know, if you use Salesforce or any CRM, then you get an alert instead of switching like from your email to Slack to Salesforce to whatever app, or to Zendesk for support, whatever. You will get like all the alerts, phone or voice related or support related, directly in the Hotspot channel, and you can then launch. He will say, the bot will ask you, do you want to call the guy? Do you want whatever? You can create contacts with going inside the app. You can delete contacts. You can do a lot of things by staying inside Slack. And yeah, also I think that data is I mean, once you choose a SaaS, I think SaaS has something that is not very ethical. Is that they once you put data into a SaaS, you're dead, you know, and you cannot move anymore. Even if you think that there is a better SaaS than the one you're using, you're stuck with not with price or whatever, but with data, because all your data is inside, and pushing data out of SaaS is quite difficult. With Hotspot, I think the goal is really like to put Hotspot in the middle on everything that has like communications or needs of communications, meaning you can get data from like a Zendesk or a Salesforce or a Pipedrive or a Freshdesk or whatever, or any kind of management tool, but the data belongs then to you, not to the app. It's something also we are working on.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and be able to provide that sort of commonality and those workflows that cut across those different SaaS tools. So you can see that's a very interesting niche. So cool.
Yep.
So moving on, you have a more traditional service, Widget for Call, that's been doing very well. So how widely deployed is Widget for Call now, and what are the popular use cases?
Okay, so we started by developing Widget for Call on top of our research and development on WebRTC. So at the beginning, Widget for Call was a Flash and WebRTC widget with a lot of fallbacks from WebRTC to Flash to even then to a callback, That's the way we started. So WebRTC, okay, Flash, we won't talk anymore a lot about it, but WebRTC has still a lot of, as you know, because of standardization, has still a lot of problems on the client side, because if you have a website and the customers put it, and they had a lot of problems, like people didn't turn their microphone on, or had like compatibility problems if they were not using Firefox or Chrome. So it ended up being more of a callback, a web callback service, but with the advantage of being very simple and very easy to customize. So that's what people like in Widget for Call, is that they can totally customize their look and feel of their button or widget. Okay, so most there are two types of customers. It's very funny. It's either big or very big or very small. Very big is high traffic sites where there is a lot of customer interaction. So it's more consumer sites, like in verticals, like it's more insurance, banking, transportation. We are setting it up for the French SNCF, which is the railroad.
Congratulations.
They have huge sites, and it's also for people who have like large call centers behind, because if they are doing callback, people will then enter just a phone, but they need to have like hundreds of people behind answering the phone, and they manage everything, because it's completely agnostic to what they are using. They are just like sending a call from a website to a call center. And they don't need to touch anything. It's everything just sending calls to a call center. And also a lot of small, because there's a pyramid. There are a lot of people like using it for sites, but they're with the cheapest plan. Okay, it's not very, for me, it's not very. It's more interesting for larger and high traffic sites, because they get the traffic, and it's another channel to get phone calls. Okay, so in terms of direct versus channel, it's for the moment it's more, we have those customers are direct, but we have also a lot in the web agencies who are integrating it like in websites for their customers. But I would say that in terms of volume of sales, it's more direct than channel.
Yeah.
For the moment.
Yeah. And just to summarize, so it's almost like a future-proofed web callback service.
Yeah.
Because there's been lots of web callback services for many years now, but it's one that can cover so many use cases.
Yeah. Right. It can cover many use cases. Some companies are using it also for international. For managing, for international support, for if they have like multiple websites, so okay, it's easier instead of local phone number just to have a callback and ask them to enter their phone, and then they manage. It's just like a conferencing system. Callback is okay. We take one number and we put it in conference with a number at the other end. So this is also a use case which is quite good, but I think that it's a subject that we work together, and we can talk about that. I think as we put the widget on the Juju cloud, I think widget web callback has no like technical. It's not a very original service. Probably I think the best is that could totally like open source it, and people then can use it, and then if possible, if they can use it on our with our infrastructure, that would be great.
Yep.
But I think there are multiple ways of growing it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's quite interesting. So, do you find that customers adopt like the SaaS services, then move to the API because they need more customization or integration with their CRM or enterprise applications?
I think with any SaaS, you have limitations at some point, because the advantage is that it's easy and fast its immediate deployment, but then at some point, if you want deep customization, you will need to have an API around it. So the question also always with the API is, okay, how and that's something we don't want to do, because we don't provide. We provide a little bit, but not that much service around the API. It's not our business model. We don't really like. Okay, then it's more on the customer side to have the resource to integrate, and projects can tend to be quite long. We provide support, but we don't do it for them. If they ask us, can you develop this feature or whatever, or add with your API, we will say no. We'll give you support, but we wouldn't do it for you. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer. But yeah, but it's for as for widget or hotspots. We are building bridges in the next months to provide more feature from the API and more possibility of integration from the Apidaze API to the apps.
Yeah, because it is. I think it's a very interesting business model you've got in having the API, but the API is almost like, well, that's sort of what we've built these services on. And having a strong SaaS model to make it as easy as possible for customers to use these services. So how does your business split between the sort of SaaS services and the API? Is it dominated by the services, or is it the API an important but
it's okay. I would say in number of customers, SaaS is larger, but in terms of revenue, API is higher. Because when you get with very simple, like just connecting trunks, it's a quite easy technically, but it brings much more revenue and faster. So
exactly.
So I wouldn't say, say that you need a very complex API, but you see, like for instance, I think last week the guys from Plivo launched a dedicated product called Zen Trunk, or trunking is okay. It's like SMS. It's like the SMS of voice. It's just you connect the trunks and you get the traffic, and can go very high because they have traffic. So it's very good business.
Yeah.
But it's not a lot of intelligence and it's not a lot of complexity. But we tend to see that the usage of APIs of the API, which is something we didn't anticipate at the beginning, is normally made for very simple use cases. Like I want to build like a WebRTC client, or for putting like to manage calls in a call center. I mean, it's or trunks or SMS automation. It's really like very basic use cases, not a lot of complexity.
Understood.
Then I would say it's the other way around. People would start probably more with an API and then look if there is a SaaS that is doing the thing. Because if you want, for instance, to do an hotspot, you will have to. It will take you probably a lot of resource and much more money than it will cost to pay a monthly fee to a SaaS. So it still makes sense to have both. Yeah.
Yep, no, absolutely. And that was sort of leads on nicely to the other question is, as more businesses embed communications into their business processes, their front ends, do you see the growth being in the API business or in the SaaS business or across both?
I would say they go together. I would see the ideal combination is a great SaaS that is solving immediately and cost effectively a problem, but at some point with a strong and a feature rich API which allows to extend some features or So everything is API based.
I know. It's a matter of degree. But I think what you're highlighting, I think, is because you've solved this problem ahead of quite a few other players in the market, is really examining and how customers behave around this SaaS API split. And what you're saying is the two grow together in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they go together.
Absolutely. So then, looking to the core of your presentation, apologies for asking all the questions about Apidaze, but that's what people wanted to know. Going back to the core of your presentation now.
We are Apidaze.
Exactly. What can the industry do to accelerate education? It still seems we're sort of trapped in this techie, sort of technology standards discussion, and we're struggling to sort of break out of that into, to an extent, what we've had on this call is all around use cases and operational issues. So just interested in your views on what are some of the things we could do to try and accelerate education.
Keep doing what we have been doing, but
better.
Yeah, better. But showing, I think there are a lot of things change also in the last couple of years. I mean, we have to be geeky because we're talking about technologies. I think there is a lot of innovation to be done. Through the usage of APIs. The difficulty, I think, is really like to show that we can move from being geek to make business and how to rapidly generate revenue. The problem is that I don't know. You asked me what will be hotspot. I don't know, in 6 months or 1 year. I don't know, but it depends a lot on a lot of things because. Selling and promoting SaaS costs also a lot of money. Yeah. And I think that, for instance, in the telecom industry, I saw here in France, for instance, SFR has launched completely crappy, I don't know, cloud phone or whatever for businesses with. I mean, it's ridiculous. Something you could do like in 3 weeks with any. Communication API, the guys put like ads everywhere, and I look at the solution. I said it's bullshit, And I think these people should really like either do contests or for innovation based on the APIs and try really like to take ideas out of or to take over some hacks and finance them, because I think they are really like very, very good ideas, and compared to what they can do, with some notable exceptions like Appear, which is very popular in the world, and so on. I mean, there's a lot of creativity. So I think we must show that we need some time to show that some of the hacks, either that we did as an API company, or with the people that come to hackathons, that there is really like business and money to be done. But I think also this is now, I think we're doing the right thing, but it's also a matter of time and proving that it works. Maybe it took more time than we thought it would take.
No, I think that's sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I was saying if you also, as an API as a product company, we struggle also, like all the other API companies, to see like the major API company like Twilio had to spend like to raise like $200 million. It's a huge investment, like I said, with tons of marketing and sales people, not only technical people. It's a lot of marketing and sales people. Yeah. It takes time, 8 years, and hundreds of millions of dollars to build something which is which has now the basis maybe to do very strong growth, and to be there. It's it takes time to build assets.
No, I fully agree, and I think you're spot on around proving it. Because if we look at what we've done together with TED Hack, I mean, we've generated over 200 hacks, and around 40 of them are either commercial or in the process of being taken commercial, which is great. I mean, that's an amazing ratio. And I think it's building up all those proof points across the different verticals, across the different market segments. So whether it be in healthcare and tourism, in banking, in for example, even in telco, where we had Sebastian Schumann take the code he wrote in 24 hours at TED Hack London and use it in his business to solve a business problem. So I think that it's getting as many of those together so each of the verticals can understand and internalize. And again, it is, I mean, marketing is just repeating the same message again and again until somebody listens. But maybe that's my bitter and twisted view of what marketing is.
Yeah, right. But I mean, what hackers and startups are missing is money for promotion and for marketing and for sales, and on the other side, what telcos are missing maybe is innovation and geeky attitude to start something like from scratch and fail fast and whatever, but still have the focus to work on details and features, because a lot of the usage comes from these things. What we see, for instance, in the hotspot beta is like people are really like asking for things that we couldn't think of, or could be like putting just like an emoji at the end of a notification or some this kind of things like you won't think of. It's not really technology; it's more usability. So that it takes time to build. Okay, go from a hack and build a true app that can be used and monetized. It takes some time. Some time.
That's absolutely. So just wrapping up here. Question on number 10. How will innovative companies like Apidaze, because you have been a leader in driving from the API business into the SaaS business, survive as larger companies like Cisco move into your space?
It's a good question. It's a question you should ask to Cisco.
I am actually asking.
You probably know the answer better than me. Yeah, I think how can we survive? We can survive if we continue innovating, or if we find like like some, I don't like this word of killer app, but something that they didn't think of, or there is always a space for doing something new or in a different way. I mean, Cisco, of course, there's I know very well Cisco. They have like customers all over the world. They have an install base. They have distribution channels. So Probably I couldn't even imagine to compete with a company like Cisco, but I think there are still bits, and there are a lot of small companies offering like small pieces or bits for and also because also price wise as well. We have a case right now where they could it's a customer is building something with the Avaya platform, but it's like the pricing models are and services model are completely like I mean, for the size of the project it's a nonsense. So there's still opportunity for companies, even if they are Cisco or Avaya or Microsoft or whatever customers, that they can turn to other solutions who do the same thing, but faster maybe and cheaper.
Exactly. As the technology is becoming more productized and democratized, it means the difference between what you can get from a Avaya and what you can get from a local supply. Because again, you know, for a lot of small, medium businesses, it's having somebody that you can call up, or you know the offices, or just down the road. You know, matters intensely to them. So, but can have a very similar functionality and performance as well. So the gap between sort of the big guys and the little guys in the space is definitely closed. And as you say, the part of the differentiation is the fact that you can do stuff that maybe is outside of the business model, like you focus on Slack. While Cisco, they've got to focus on Spark. But also you see an opportunity because of all these different applications, to which Spark is one of them, where you have communications flow. And you can act as a hub across all those and sort of consolidate, depending on what how the user wants, into one, you know, of the channels or the meeting rooms for where all the alerts and where you can sort of perform some of the business action.
Right. Yeah, and I think also that that there are some spaces like, and Twitter did it very well. They trusted like all these startup and innovation environment. They completely like focused on that and trusted that. This is something where you will have little chances that people would always look more at smaller sized companies like we are, or Twilio used to be, because we speak the same language and we are in the same environment. I couldn't see like a startup that raised, I don't know, $5 or $10 million turning to Cisco as a reflex, but would rather go to a company where they can talk with the CTO or the CEO or whatever, and they don't want to pay like $100,000 consultancy fees and burn their money and this kind of thing just to open a project. So I think there is still an opportunity, and it's really also a heavy trend, and we can see it more here in Europe. It's newer than in the US, but there are huge like incubation and accelerator programs that are in the pipeline, because Europe is far behind the US, but not only in Europe. It's probably the case also in Asia and South America and so on.
Got it.
Yeah, so I think tomorrow's Cisco's and Microsoft's or Facebook's or whatever are probably sitting somewhere behind a desk with 3 or 4 guys. And I think for this market segment, I think that that's the space where small companies should work in priority, like Twilio did.
Yep.
And they did it quite well.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So just wrapping up, given all your experience, are there any specific enterprise verticals you see adopting these SaaS offers? If there's no clear sort of vertical, how do you select customers to chase for business?
I think the verticals, like for a product like Hotspot, is very easy. It's everyone who is using Slack, and then moving horizontally to other collaborative softwares. So it's trying to capture people who are already using a certain environment. Then for the pure API business, I think it's more on what customer issues do we want to solve, and so maybe like call center or SMS notifications or things like that. It's more turned to that. It's not one vertical particularly, but more like customer issues that they have to solve. And today, it's almost everyone, you know. And then also everything which is on demand services which are by essence heavy consumers of communications and communication automation.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. Excellent. As you say, I think it's identifying those problems and then being able to take that solution across, any vertical that basically where that problem is addressable. So that's great advice. So cool. And that was excellent, Lewis. Really enjoyed it. Great advice. And again, it's because you're out there in the field, failing and succeeding in selling both APIs and SaaS services. It's a font of knowledge. So again, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Alan.